Welcome to Just Relationships, the show that offers you concrete ways to make your relationships better. Whether it's your boss, your spouse, your children, or your friends, the quality of your relationships in life directly affects how you feel about yourself and the success you achieve. Your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer, a psychotherapist, telecoach, author, and seminar leader, will interview top experts to help you learn to manage this essential part of your life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer.
Greetings to you. Have you ever felt like you were the only one? And if you felt like, oh, I'm the only one, I don't know about you, but when I felt that way at times, it was negative, like I was the only one, and that was not a good thing. What about if you're the only one and it's a better thing? What about if you see things differently, out of the box, in an innovative way, and you are different? Well, I'd like to introduce you to my guest, best-selling author John Lee, whose book, The Odd One Out, is about being different in a good way. Welcome, John Lee.
Thank you, Duffy. So good to see you again.
I am so honored to have you, John. And I want everyone to know that John Lee is a best-selling author of The Flying Boy and Growing Yourself Back Up and so many other books. And John, as I said to you before the show, you are so prolific. You write. Yeah. So the subtitle of your book is Radical Revelations on Relationships, Self-Help, and Personal Growth. So I already kind of explained my take on the title of your book. I'd like to hear from you. You have felt like the odd one out a lot in your life?
All my life.
All your life.
In every aspect.
Every aspect.
Personal life, professional life, family life. But where the idea came from is, for the title of the book and the subtitle is that, not only am I personally odd one out, but part of the reason why I titled the book is because lots and lots and lots of people feel they're the odd one out.
Right.
Just like you said earlier, you get together in a room of 12, and if somebody said, I'm the odd one out, 10 others would say, no, that's me. I'm the odd.
Yes, the odd one out.
That's how I feel, The second part is just a big part of this book is I see things differently and have been thinking differently about the things in my books for the last 35 years. For instance, this, you've sat with me and heard it ad nauseum, but one of the many distinctions I make in the book is the difference between anger and rage. I make the distinction between fear and anxiety. I make the distinction between depression and despair, hope and joy. And one of the things that has been interesting to me, given that I come from Alabama and I don't have that great of an education, is there's a lot of people who use these terms interchangeably as if they mean the same thing. So a good deal of this book is trying to sort that out in the best way I can.
Well, it is totally intriguing to me, and I have heard you. I have been at so many of your seminars and listened to you in a happy way, always enthralled by you. So, I was intrigued too by these distinctions: hope and joy, depression and despair, anxiety and fear, and anger versus rage. So how about the good news for everyone is that John Lee is coming back next week. So I have John for a 2-part series. And John, so you start. Which of those 4 pairings do you want to tell us about?
Well, I'll do the short version of each.
Okay.
Then if one strikes you more than another, we'll go more deeply. But so here's the cliff notes, you might say. People who are under 50 may not know what cliff notes is. Anger is written about, studied about. Many therapists talk about it, but they will also say, well, rage is just a ratcheted up anger. And I've been pointing out for 30 years that anger is a feeling, it's a primary emotion, and rage is an action or a behavior that will numb primary emotion. The general wisdom out there, their wisdom is saying, no, anger is always covering up something else. No, when I'm angry, I'm not covering something. So when I'm raging, I'm covering something up, either sadness, fear, loneliness, whatever, because I don't want to feel those feelings. So a lot of guys, especially men, if they get sad or threatened, they go to rage so they won't feel sad or threatened.
Yes.
But anger is what I call a God-given emotion that people are supposed to have to be able to ward off injustice. And so it's a feeling.
Right. It's one of the primary feelings. And I think of it as a protest emotion because it literally provides our body with 20% more adrenaline, which makes us able to fight or flee.
Right. And
then, of course, we have the other two F's, the freeze and fawn or people please. But the energy is that we need fight or flee. And as you say, it's a natural thing. If there's something wrong, if we're in danger, if there's injustice, we need to protest it. We need to fight it or get away from it.
You're calling it a protest emotion.
A protest emotion.
Oh, that is brilliant. Written 3.
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
3 books.
John, protest emotion.
I've never heard that said.
Yeah. Well, I can't. Everybody, are you listening? John Lee, best-selling author, is writing down what I just said. And I made it up, John. I created it. I didn't hear it from anybody else.
I've never heard it before. That's a brilliant way.
Well, it takes one to know one.
Brilliant.
You made my day, John Lee.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me go on and give the quick version.
Yeah.
So how do you know it's anger? Anger takes moments or minutes at the most, and once it's expressed, everybody is usually okay. Nobody. Rage equals distance, disaster, and divorce.
Ooh.
And everybody's going to get hurt some way, physically, but some way around rage. Anger takes moments or minutes. Rage can go on for hours, days, or decades. Anger is about the present moment. Rage is always about our past.
Oh, yes. Accumulated, unresolved anger. Yeah, that is laced with revenge. And as you say, the negative behavior, the negative actions. I do want to say, though, that anger, which is a primary emotion in present time, and it's expressed clearly that situation alone, and people can hear it, and it can get resolved. That many people do not know how to express their anger in a healthy way, and I'm talking about regular anger.
Yeah, no, people say, John, I can't express anger. And I said, often partly you can't because you don't know how.
Right.
And so you don't want to mess it up, and therefore you become a conflict avoidant person.
Right.
But anger expressed appropriately equals energy, intimacy, and connection. See if
good, beautiful.
Something you said this morning at breakfast. When I get home this evening, I need to tell you that I was angry about that. And it's not about what you said 20 years ago.
Right. And I already, you use the I statement. I was angry about that, something you said at breakfast. So that's the key. And it's I'm not going to say it's amazing. I don't know. We hear the terms I versus you statements all the time. Anyone who studies communication is going to hear that right away. And yet, how many people constantly do that? You, right? You did, you didn't, you are, you said. Yeah. You said. I think that making I statements is a very, very advanced skill because it involves self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-expression, and consulting inside. So many people don't know their own bodies. They don't live a fully embodied life.
Yeah, see, most people, if they actually do get in an argument or a fight or a conflict, it goes this way. Duffy, I'm going to tell you what you said, why you said what you said. I didn't say what you did and why you did what you did. And then when I stop, it's your turn. And you're going to tell me how I shouldn't have said it that way and why didn't you do it that way. And John, you're wrong about this. So there was a big advance in communication. I'm going to say maybe it came around in the 80s. And most people use this, but again, I'm the odd one out and I teach something different. But a big advance was I feel.
Right.
That kind of thing. And what I with is why put the you in it? Mm-hmm. Duffy, right now, I feel hurt, I feel angry, or I feel sad, or I feel hopeful. And then if I say it, then I'm going to tell you about me, and then I want you to tell me about you. That's real communication. I'm upset. I'm hurt. I'm scared. I'm lonely. Okay, then you tell me what's going on in your insides, and this is called conversation. But when I ask, especially when I do couples, but even individuals, when I say, I want you to say what you just said, but I want you to leave the word you out.
Yeah.
I've sat with some of the smartest people on the planet who goes, I can't figure out how to say it, John, without saying it. And I go, that's because you haven't had that much practice. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've been told about ourselves for so long, we just keep doing it.
So I'm curious about that because I've been teaching this stuff for years. I guess it's since the 80s. But the idea of I distinguish between the descriptive you versus the blaming you. Uh-huh. So basically, if I were to say, right now, I'm feeling hurt and angry, you might say, oh, well, how come? Well, because it's something that you said.
Yeah.
But you're saying to lead with the I, and then let them ask about the
9 times out of
situation.
9 times out of 10, if I'm in the present moment about my anger.
Yeah.
And I don't tell you about anything about you. I just tell you I'm angry, I'm upset, and I'm hurt. 9 people out of 10 who hear it that way will say, oh, tell me more. Or what's that about? They're going,
what's that about?
Information. But if I say, no, Duffy, you made me angry and you my feelings, then you're gone. You're behind a shield, preparing for battle. You're going to be in the defensive mode and barely hear anything I say. And you damn sure ain't going to ask any questions about what I said because you had to hide behind that shield because I'm throwing darts and spears at you every time I say the word you.
Even the descriptive you. That's something I'm going to have to try because it just seems almost coy to say, well, I'm feeling upset right now, or I'm feeling upset with you. No, you can't even say that. I'm feeling upset with you.
Here's how I came to teach it. Like, let's say I say, Duffy, I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to say about what
Yeah.
happened. And then I'm going to say, oh, I broke up with my girlfriend last night or something.
Mm-hmm.
And say, well, no wonder you're sad, But when I tell people how I feel on a good day, it's less about you and all about me. And unless you engage me with a question, I'm going to keep it about me. Now, remember, one of the things that I taught for years, adults do not have to explain their feelings anymore. They can choose to, but they don't have to. As children, if we were sad, we had to explain why. If we were angry, explain why. As adults, I can just be angry for the next hour, and maybe, you know what? I think I'll just not share this because it's small and it's immediate, and I got to go to work.
Yes, so that's another thing you talk about in your book, the dropping the why, getting rid of the word why. So get rid of the word you, get rid of the word why, especially, why do you feel that way? Why did you do that? It cannot help but put people on the defensive.
Exactly. Because when you say why, you actually elevate yourself above the person who you're asking why.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're in a subservient position and you have to give me an answer.
Right.
Now the other part of the why is, I've said this for years, why is the most useless waste of energy that one will ever participate in? Why have we gone into the third year of COVID? There's no answers for that. Mm-hmm. Get out of COVID. There's an answer to that. Why did Dad get cancer? But there's no answer to that. Mm-hmm. How does Dad heal from cancer? There's an answer to that. But
beautiful.
We heard, why did you do this? Why didn't you do this? And even as adults, there's some little kid in us that feels like we're forced to explain.
Yes. And these are things that we automatically pick up because tell me why, right? We've always been taught that's how you ask a question. Why this and why that? Tell me why, right? Why is the sky blue? Tell me why. So, when I teach this stuff, because I'm in the communication field for decades, the thing is that you can do this, right? You have to just be mindful. And I tell people, it'll be awkward. It's a little awkward at first to substitute how is it that came about, or that's still a reference to the past. I like the idea of the how. One of the things I teach is coaching and counseling for outstanding job performance to managers. And I always say to my students, you can move into coaching when they say, okay, so how? How do I do this? Yeah. Now they're ready. They're primed for change. But the counseling has more to do with the why of it. Like, you're so upset. Let's talk about it. Let's look at it. And then that's the distinction between counseling and coaching into the teaching of the how. It's easy to say, John Lee, right? It's easy to say, eliminate why, eliminate you. But if people can really try it on, like I'm going to try on what you said and eliminate even the descriptive you. I'm going to try that on, and I'm going to see, because I still see a little yellow light here, because I don't want to manipulate or lead someone down a certain path. So I'm really sad. Oh, how come you're sad? Mm-hmm. Because, I could say because of what happened between us.
Yeah,
at breakfast, right? There you go. Got it.
You just got the you right out of there.
Right. What happened
instead of what
us?
instead of what you said at breakfast.
Right.
See?
Between us.
Oh,
good. I'm writing this down, John. Big letters.
Brilliant.
Between us. Wow. Okay. So the rage, we live in such a rageful society with people killing each other right and left. And, we look at the prototype of the people who do this, and they're usually the loners, the quiet ones, the so-called nice ones. And then, of course, now we have all this political homegrown terrorism. But so how do you manage not to be rageful in a society that tells you you're not even allowed to be angry?
Yeah, well, that's a big part of the whole teaching. See, the bottom line is nearly everybody has this equation deeply imprinted in them. The equation is anger equals pain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, 8 out of 10 people are conflict avoidant.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid to get angry, because when people did with them, they had pain, they've seen the pain. But when that anger stores and stores and stores and stuffs, then then there's this line, and then it's crossed over into rage.
Yes. See,
anger will change the Constitution. Rage will destroy it.
Good. Wow.
Anger will increase communication between different sides. Rage diminishes all communication.
Right.
Yeah. See, anger is, if it's expressed appropriately, equals empathy and gentleness ultimately. But if you slip over into rage, you're going to destroy. You're going to destroy your chances for a better marriage. You're going to destroy your chances for you and your children to have a good relationship. And what we see, like I remember somebody said the other day, Trump is so angry. I said, no.
Yeah.
I said, no. What we saw on January the 6th was rage. We didn't see it. Anger is what Martin Luther King, civil rights. The Black Panthers, some of them, and this is stereotyping, used rage. Mm-hmm. Guns, bombs. And Martin Luther King used spirit, prayer, anger. I mean, there's no question that he was angry. He had every right to be.
Yeah.
So trying to get people to stop using those words interchangeably has been a task of mine for nearly 30 years. And when I explain it at a conference or a clinical conference, 7 out of 10 therapists will go, yeah, that makes sense. I just never heard the two separated like that. And the other two that a lot of clinicians will use interchangeably, that I talk about in the odd one out, is despair and depression. People will use those two words interchangeably as if they mean the same thing.
Do tell.
Well,
despair and depression, yes.
Yeah. Despair, first let's deal with depression. Depression is chemical, situational, circumstantial, wiring, misfiring, we'll say. And all of these can be addressed by a psychotherapist, a psychologist, a friend, a sponsor, maybe. Mm-hmm. Despair is, here's what I am, here's where I am, but I thought I would be somewhere else.
Oh.
So it's the valley, I call it the valley between here, where we are today, and there, where I thought I would be. Now you can't take a pill for that.
No.
You can't take a pill for that. here's what I've accomplished. Here's what I thought I would have accomplished.
Right.
You can't take a pill for that.
Mm.
Can be treated. Despair, and this is the tricky part, and I always tread lightly on this. When people say, how do you treat despair?
Yeah.
And I said cautiously that psychology really can't treat despair, that spirituality treats despair.
Mm.
But psychology and psychotherapy can treat depression. Spirituality can't change the neural misfirings and not enough oxytocin and neoepinephrine. You can't really, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, you can't really pray and expect the neural pathways to heal. You can create new neural pathways by praying, meditating, but you can't. So, and people say, well, what does spirituality mean? And then I go, that's where I'm going to leave it, because I have my own and you have yours. But just to say, I wouldn't go pay a psychologist to treat my despair.
Beautiful. And on that note, we have to close. And John Lee, author of Odd One Out, Lee, Lee, Radical Revelations on Relationships, Self-Help, and Personal Growth. And the whole idea of spirituality, we have left to bookmark, maybe yes, maybe no, for next week. But what can spirituality do for us? What can psychology or psychotherapy do for us? Different things. And that's so intriguing, John Lee, the difference between depression and despair. I just love it. So, everybody, tune in next week to John Lee Part 2, his latest book, Odd One Out. And this is, thank you, John, so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
As always, John. And this is Dr. Duffy Spencer saying goodbye for now and wishing you great relationships.